Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger. My friends, the Capcom Cup and everything it entails has now wrapped up. If you got a very big brain like me, you can now go collect your reward for correctly voting for who was going to win the Capcom Cup. It's just a title, it's not that big of a deal, but hey, it is nice, I suppose. And no, we did not get the Elena teaser / trailer. I'm sorry. I know I got some people's hopes up. I had my hopes up. I changed my whole sleep schedule to watch everything in the chance that there was going to be a trailer, and no, we had nothing. Last year, Capcom went out of the way, saying there's going to be no reveals, just matches and esports stuff. And this year, they said nothing of the sort, so myself and many others assumed, well, this time there's going to be a reveal, right? And no, it was just the matches and some esports stuff. I can't be helped for assuming, Capcom establishes a pattern here and then they don't follow through. Well, oh well, it'll happen soon enough anyways. It'll just be dropped on Twitter on some random afternoon. But on that note, now that we finished up the Capcom Cup and Elena, whenever she does come out, is the very likely herald of the big patch that will be counted as Season 3, regardless if we have a title change or not, which will probably happen when the Switch 2 comes out. So now let's talk about Season 3, because it's assuredly going to come with some major changes to the systems of the game, to the characters, and maybe just some all new stuff as well. As you may very well recall, when Akuma launched and the big patch that came with Akuma as the beginning of Season 2, that was a monstrous patch. It changed so much about the game. It's been a while ago now, so we don't think about as much, but remember, even something as simple as changes to tap parry. Now that parry had so much more recovery, and the hurt box that could be thrown was greatly expanded. That was with the Akuma patch. So they're willing to change fundamental things about the game, and well, that said, before we go into everything else, a fundamental part of the game, for better or worse, is throw loops. Everyone hates throw loops. Nobody likes throw loops at all. They're always consistently complained about. We're spoiling the match ahead a little bit here, but yeah, Kawano beat Punk with the SFL Finals with a throw loop into a perfect, by the way. It's universally reviled and despised, and yet every character always launches with more and more throw loops. My throw loop specifically is exhausting, by the way. So is it time that it finally changes in some way, some form? I think now, if it's ever going to change, ever at all, this patch, the Season 3 patch, is going to be where it changes. If it survives Season 3 patch, it's going to be here for the life of the game, and we can worry about it come Street Fighter 7. It's just one of those things where it's very inconsistent. It sure is strong, but characters like Akuma, as you can see here, some characters have it better than others. So what's the basics of the throw loop, right? Just to go into it. You throw and you dash forward in the corner, and then you throw them again. Repeat ad nauseum. That's kind of how she goes, right? And of course, what makes it so strong is you can wake up with a button, and I can still beat your wake up button if she set the wake up jab. And if you wake up with a throw tech or a reverse, I can just walk back. And if you did like a reversal, I block the reversal. And if you go for a throw tech, I bop you in the head for the throw tech. Awesome. This is what the good characters have at their disposal. However, not everyone has the good stuff. Let's go for a low-tier misfit character like Marissa. So if she does dash after forward throw, she's +1. And this is Street Fighter 6. This is not Street Fighter 5. So if I am +1 and try to throw you as you wake up, her 4-frame jab will beat me every time. So it doesn't particularly matter. So it's not going to be a throw loop like that. Now, that said, I can throw you, drive rush forward, and then beat it. Okay, that's an option available to me, sure. Big problem here is naturally I'm burning bar. To do this. Okay, we got 2 loops in. Oh, I just lost 2 drive meters? What? Akuma and Mai aren't losing drive meters. I am, right? That's kind of messed up. And sure, okay, there's tiers within throw loops. Sure, understandable, right? Not everyone should be equally as good at every single aspect of the game. And some people argue, well, that's why you need throw loops anyways. Throw loops are integral to the game. You have to have throw loops into that, I say. Obviously not, because not everyone has throw loops. Maybe we have characters with worse throw loops like Marissa. Someone like Honda doesn't even get the opportunity. After a throw, he's -2 after dash, and no, there's no amount of drive rush That's going to be the wake-up button for him after a throw as well, right? Chun-Li is another character as well, but Chun-Li's a little better off than Honda, so we use Honda as our example. But yeah, there's characters that straight up cannot throw loop in this game. So if it was integral to how the game worked, then why doesn't everyone have access to the technique? And let alone the fact that tap parry, when it got nerfed in Season 2, that it has to be active for longer, and it wildly expands the throw hitbox. If you see someone just wake up tap parry, just walk forward and throw them. You don't need a throw loop, right? That maybe was the argument in Season 1. That argument doesn't hold water anymore. Not when the hitbox on throw parry is so huge it lets stuff like that happen. Like, you can easily just see it walk forward and throw. Like, it's not a big deal. And if you got a command grab, well, then that's a major range. So basically, once again, universally hated mechanic, right? Like, I always see complaints about throw loops, and especially over the course of Capcom Cup, there was a hell of a lot of throw loops going on, and lots of complaining about it from the audience and people watching the live streams, right? So if we're ever going to deal with it, now was the time to deal with it. And how do we deal with it? Either we just remove it as a concept entirely. Dash forward after throw just doesn't work for anybody. Maybe we make everyone like Marissa, that you at least have to pay a little bit to get the attempt, right? You got to burn some meter, burn some drive gauge with a drive rush after the fact. Throw loops could still be very scary, but then they wouldn't be necessarily as strong. Maybe we curtail it so only a handful of characters truly have access to it, right? And it's not just a mostly universal thing for the cast. Like Akuma, sure, Akuma's Akuma. Like, he should probably have something like that considering he's a lower health character. But does everyone need it the same way? I don't know. But here's all I know. If we don't change it in any way, shape, or form, you give Honda a throw loop. There's no reason he needs to stay outside of the rest of the cast and not be able to do it like everybody else, right? So you can change it, you can gut it, but if you keep it the same, you have to give Honda a throw loop or else. And you might be saying, or else what? Exactly. Now there's more to talk about for Season 3. I know throw loops is the big bugbear, so we got that out of the way. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of character-specific stuff, lots of balance changes. Maybe we'll get more into depth in that in other videos. It's quite clear, like, the balance overall is, I think, very good, right? It's certainly not like the Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition days, where, like, only a couple of characters are playable and everyone else was a waste of your time. But there's definitely characters that are, well, frankly, competitively a waste of your time, right? These are the characters that definitely need more love than other ones. And hopefully, along with the greater balance changes that happen in the game, they'll get some love. But there's ways to affect the balance of the game other than just tweaking the characters individually, which is all well and good too. But I'm talking about new mechanics. Season 3, it's time for something new besides just what we've already known to exist. Let's go back in time just to show some examples here, right? Street Fighter 4. So Street Fighter 4 Vanilla, I played a lot of Rose. I played Rose for the life of Street Fighter 4. Rose and T-Hawk were my mains. And Rose was all right in the beginning of the game, Vanilla Street Fighter 4. And, you know, we all loved the ShamWow. If you weren't around, that's what we all called it. Infomercials was silly back in the day, right? We all loved the ShamWow, especially because, you know, it was all right at catching, like, buttons or, like, whiffs. Like, you did something, haha, gotcha, right? And then we went from Vanilla Street Fighter 4 to Super Street Fighter 4. And then for Rose, we have Ultra 2 and Super Street Fighter 4, and she got Soul Satellite, and that she became a different character entirely. Like, I'm not overselling this one bit. Rose with Soul Satellite was a completely different character than Rose just with the ShamWow. And of course, other stuff like Crouch Heavy Punch actually could beat jumps. What a concept, right? In Vanilla, she couldn't stop jumpers to save her life. But anyways, we did this, and then Rose, just a whole new world open up. Like, we had all these silly mix-ups, we had much better combos. And like everything about Rose just got so much better, right? And what if we could do such a game-changing aspect like that in Street Fighter 6? Now, say Street Fighter 5. Eventually, Street Fighter 5 added both new V triggers and V skills. So the V trigger specifically was added in Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition, and that was Season 3 of the game. New gameplay mechanics added in Season 3. Funny how that works. And say for Chun, her new trigger was Kikosho. And that, to me anyways, was kind of a big deal. It added a new cool element that she never had before. Like before, okay, she had like the V-Trigger one was like the install with like the buff and better combos. But now, all of a sudden, once you had your V-Trigger 2 live, with Kikosho up, like you could do things like do guard breaks and get guaranteed damage and guaranteed combos. And that was pretty crazy, right? It gave her a whole new dynamic. I know not everyone loved every V-Trigger 2. There's definitely winners and losers when it came to who got what. And for a lot of characters, maybe they might not have well bothered, but still, right? New core major gameplay mechanics being added to the game. Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, and I think inevitably Street Fighter 6. I think it'll be this season where they'll add some sort of new mechanic. I don't know for sure, but it just feels right. Because once again, also, I very heavily believe this is the season where at some point they're going to rename the game Super Street Fighter 6. And on top of having a very long track record of rebranding Street Fighter games, they also have a very long track record of adding new mechanics in the various iterations of a numbered Street Fighter game. So it's simply a question of, well, what will it be exactly? And for that, well, I don't know. Like, spoiler, I don't got a leak for you, nothing. I don't know. But it's definitely something we can talk about. When it comes to, say, supers, since we have the level 1, 2, 3 system already in place, I don't necessarily think it'd be a new super, unless it's a super that overwrites level 1, 2, 3. Like, it is just a new super that is its own bar. It builds up, and if you pick this, then you don't get your level 1, 2, 3. Maybe it gives the character some form of utility they don't otherwise have, or maybe you do give the characters an option to pick a new level 1, 2, or 3. That's definitely a lot of animation work, especially as like level 3s are incredibly elaborate. But then again, something like a level 3 is also, for the most part, homogenous, right? The level 3 is your big dumb damage super. There's very little utility outside of that, other than some characters like JP can do a full screen gotcha with it. But that's it, that's all, right? Versus many characters level 2s, level 2s are very defining if you have a good one, like say a Rashid, where most people are going to spend the bar on the level 2 instead of ever building up to the level 3. So maybe everyone get a new level 1, 2, or 3 that you can swap out at the character select menu that gives them a layer of utility that they didn't have before. Like we talked Rose, right? Rose, how Ultra 2 changed her life. So maybe Honda gets a different level 2, and Honda gets Sumo Satellite. And there's like 2 little floating headbutting sumos around him the whole match. Once you bring the level 2, that would make his life a lot better, I'll tell you that. And of course, there's just going to be all new mechanics that we can't really think of at the time. Like one thing is obviously the drive gauge system is at the heart of the game, and new ways to interact with it would definitely work out, right? Like what if you had something equivalent to a V-skill, where anyone could like press, I don't know, medium punch and fierce punch together, and you had a unique skill that just automatically burns 2 drive gauges. And of course, it'd be different character to character. Be very powerful, it could be on demand, and could give everyone a lot more layers of utility while having, you know, a fairly reasonable cost of 2 drive gauges. Maybe it could be 3. It could be a lot of different things, right? But new ways to spend drive bar is another way we could look at it. And of course, there's just like adding new special moves and all that. And that'll probably happen at some point down the road, maybe. Street Fighter doesn't do it as much as, say, like Mortal Kombat, though. Whatever form it'll take, like I feel very safe in saying there'll just be new mechanics past what we have right now in Street Fighter 6's future. And it's actually one of the things I would love to hear from you guys, what you think would work. What do you think will be fun? What do you think would be reasonable? Because, you know, we can definitely do a lot of things that aren't terribly reasonable, right? And what do you think would just improve the game as it stands? Both, you know, in terms of new mechanics or just general balance stuff. Because until we get that patch, and, you know, until we get Elena, and the patch and Elena are probably dropping at the same time, just like they did for Akuma in the Season 2 patch, right? Well, we kind of got to twiddle our fingers, don't we, right? So, twiddle away, basically, is what I'm saying. Love to know what you think about the matter. And other than that, it's just some speculation, right? But that's what I got for you for the moment, and I guess we'll see where things take us. It'd be nice if, you know, very soon we got, like, at least a teaser for an Elena, like, World Tour trailer or something. March 11th, which is tomorrow, is when we got the initial Akuma World Tour trailer, by the way. So I guess it's an anniversary, if you will, right? Will they do it year to the day? Well, I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Probably not, but it'd be nice, right? Just very excited to see where things will go. I kind of like this whole Street Fighter thing if it hasn't been apparent by at this point, right? And just looking forward to just Street Fighter improving again, right? Obviously, Street Fighter 6 had some flaws at launch, although it's much better than, say, Street Fighter 5 at launch, for sure. And, Street Fighter 6 Season 2 has made things better, and I very much anticipate Season 3 will make things even better yet. So I'm just excited to see how it's all going to go. But other than that, my friends, that is the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.